Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. It's July 22nd, and this is my third broadcast at SoCalSabre Talks. Uh, I just started this a couple weeks ago, and just to let people share some thoughts with people, talk about things in my life, because probably somebody in my family doesn't even know everything about me. So, today's subject, one of the recommendations I got was to do a video of one of the board games that I have in my collection. So I thought, well, maybe. I'll do a little combination. I'll hit something in a different way because I'm a big sports fan, and I do like sports games, which are part only 1/3 of the, not even 1/3 in numbers, but are a part of my board game collection. So I'd like to start at the beginning. You saw that there was a couple of a picture of the teams that I like, and I'll put that back up again here so that we can look at them again. And while I'm talking at the first part of this video. I was born and raised in Buffalo, New York, and I grew up most of my young life in South Buffalo on Marilla Street. And back in those days, our neighborhood was just filled with sports guys that like to play sports, and you could always pick up some sort of a pickup game, down at the parking lot by St. Ambrose. You could always find a basketball game or a softball game or a flag football game going on down there all the time. And we were down there till the lights where we couldn't see anymore. And there was a playground right around the corner on O'Cal, right behind the, I think it was Public School 29 that you could go to too, that had some basketball hoops and so forth. And so we stayed pretty active, when we were out from the sunrise after we ate breakfast till late at night. And, I played a lot of different sports growing up. And, but before I get to them, I'll talk about these hats that I got up here. Detroit Tiger. As you can see, I'm a Detroit Tiger fan today. And I wasn't always a Detroit Tiger fan. Growing up as a youngster, up until about 11 years old, I was a Brooklyn Dodger fan. And I really liked the Dodgers. And that was to me the real Dodgers: Campanella, Snyder, Koufax, and Jackie Robinson, the whole gang, Gil Hodges, and that. Then in 1957, after 63 years in Brooklyn, they made the decision to go to the almighty dollar and made their move to LA. Well, that made me, as a youngster, and a lot of other people in New York, the state of New York, mad. And so I dropped the Dodgers. And then I decided, well, who am I going to be? Well, I'm from Buffalo. Everybody thought I was going to we'd go with the New York Yankees. I couldn't go with the Giants because they were moving too. So, but I decided to go with Detroit. They were only, 200 miles from Buffalo, where New York City was 450 miles. So I went with Detroit and been with them ever since there. No regrets at all. Some great players. Al Kaline and Mickey Mantle and Willie Mays were some of my sports baseball heroes when I was growing up. So nothing that. So then, the Buffalo Sabres. Talk about them next. I've always been a Buffalo hockey fan. I was a Buffalo. They were the Buffalo Bisons before the Sabres, and they were in the American Hockey League. And we used to take the bus downtown to the old Odd and watch them. So I don't know how many games I saw down there, and that was big fun. So when they changed over to the Sabres, of course, I've naturally been a Sabres and fan, and it's been a lot of lean years lately for us, and no Stanley Cups yet, but still hopes I'm still alive. Then the Bills. Okay, Buffalo Bills first came into existence, and they were playing in War Memorial Stadium, and they were part of the uh, American Football League at the time. And I used to take bus down there and go watch them play, and and that was a lot of fun back in those days. They actually won an AFL championship the year that they had Daryl Lamonica and Jack Kemp as their quarterbacks, and it was a lot of fun watching them. And then of course, they switched over to the NFL, and history stands there. One of the few teams that have lost 4 Super Bowls, and especially 4 in a row. That was kind of heartbreaking, but still hopes for us out there. They started to make, seems like they're making a comeback to the playoffs the last couple of years. And then the Boston Celtics. I never really had, when I was young, a basketball team that I really was a fan of. I liked a lot of the old players, Walt Frazier and Bill Russell and those Bob Cousy and those type of guys. But then along came the Buffalo Braves came into the league. And of course, I never got to see the Buffalo Braves because by that time I was already in the military and moving around the world. But I rooted for them. And then all of a sudden, 1977 comes and they make the big decision to move. And they moved to San Diego, where they now are eventually. Then they moved to Los Angeles and they are now the LA Clippers. So, I decided, well, who am I going to root for? I want a basketball team. So I decided that I was going to go with the Celtics. And yeah, they had a lot of winners. Maybe I was going for a winner, but there's been a lot of lean years since 1977 when I went with them also. They're not all the Larry Bird and the Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett days. There's a lot of lean years, especially when Anton Walker was playing with them. Well, anyway, I've been, a Celtics fan and a Detroit fan. Probably made my father mad because he was born and raised in Bronx. So I was the first one in the family born outside of New York City. And my father was a big Knicks and Yankee fan. So probably made him mad. I don't know if I subconsciously did it to do that or not, but that's history too. Like I say, we played a lot of sports in South Buffalo. We played in the police athletic leagues. They used to be pretty active. I don't know if they are anymore. And we played basketball in them. We played baseball in them. And then I used to go out to I called it the country where my grandfather and grandmother lived on the weekends. And they had a very active, in the town of Alden, there was a very active sports thing on Saturdays. I played in their baseball team leagues. And I also played for their town team. And we actually won the Erie County Championship one time. I don't remember how old I was, but it was a long time ago. So, then along came, and I did some other things, golf. We had South Park Golf Course down there about, I don't know, 6-7 blocks from my house. And we used to walk down there and a nice little 9-hole course. And we'd play that on the weekends and our days off during the summer. In the summer, we'd go during the week because all the people were working and the weekends got pretty busy. But then I went into the military. And then, once in the military, my sports got really whittled down. I became more of an active bowler, and then I was playing softball. I didn't play softball very much until I got to Europe, and then I played a lot of softball over there in Europe. And but I bowled just about the whole time I was in the military. One of the big fun things was when our squadron won the base championship at George Air Force Base in bowling one year. So that was my 20 years in the military. Softball was really great. Met a lot of nice guys. Got to travel around Europe because I did play on the base team as well as the squadron team, and that was a lot of fun traveling and camping and so forth. And my last video, and that's it for the why I have those hats showing what I'm a fan of right as of this point in time. In my last video, I mentioned that I had become a board game collector about 5 years ago. And part of my collection are sports board games, which I'm a big fan of. They really have some neat games out there now. And most of them a lot of them are 1 to 2 player games, but every one of them can be played very nicely solo. And so I have a lot in my collection, and here's just a quick rundown of what my collection. I have 2 different golf games, and they both give me different ways of playing. One's very shot by shot by shot. One's more like watching TV on Sunday, where you're getting an overview of every hole and the players. 4 hockey games. One I have currently on the table right now is called Shootout Hockey. That's real neat, fast game. You can play those pretty quickly. And but it does give you some detail in scoring. You can keep stats in that. 2 car racing games. One is called Red, White, and Blue Racing, which is NASCAR, and that's pretty cool. I actually followed for 2 complete seasons the NASCAR series, and I ran every NASCAR race every Sunday for 2 seasons, and I kept the stats on that. But that was a big commitment, so I decided I was going to have to take a break for that. Doing it, NASCAR season is pretty long. I actually have 1 horse racing game that honestly I can't think that I've ever played yet. I have one bowling game that's pretty cool, and every one of my games that I play, I also have projects for them. So I'm in the bowling game when it comes up. I continue with a season that I created, and it's historical bowlers, the real bowlers, and that's kind of nice. And it plays pretty quickly. Two boxing games. Uh, I just had one on the table last week again called Title Bout 2, and the other one's called Legends of Boxing. Both of them have their pluses. They're different in how they play, but they have their pluses, and I enjoy playing both of them. Basketball, I have three basketball games. One of them hasn't hit my table out on the table to play yet, and that was from Stratomatic. Football, I have 8 different football games, and the most recent one I had out is called 4th Street Football. Really good game. It's really detailed, and took me it had a pretty good learning curve. So it took me a while to get the hang of the game and everything. But after I got the hang, the game moved along fairly well, and I liked it a lot. I like all my games for one reason or another. Some are just more detailed than others and have a higher learning curve. Then baseball, I have 11 different baseball games. Okay. So I guess maybe I'm a bigger baseball fan than everything. So with all of these different games, a couple of years ago I decided, but geez, I'm not getting to enjoy these games, and so I detailed and made a complete roster. I call it my rotation roster. I listed all my games on there, and I go and I play. And like the shootout hockey's up there now. And then the next one, I'm done with that. I move on, put them, and then I go to the roster and take the next one that's on the roster. So I eventually get through the roster, and I have enjoyed all my different games. And so and each one of them has a different project. Right now with this shootout hockey, I'm doing a shortened 41 game replay season of the Sabres 1979-1980 team. Danny Gare and Gilbert Perreault, Rick Martin, and a lot of great guys that were on those teams. And which do I like the most? That would be a tough decision of which I would like the most. The ones that I play the most is called Superstar Baseball. And why do I play that the most? Well, back in 1982, I think it was, I was stationed at George Air Force Base, and my sons and I and about 4 or 5 or 6 other GIs started playing this Superstar Baseball game. And this one up there in the picture is from Sports Illustrated. It was the second edition. It was originally put out by Avalon Hill Sports. But we started playing it, and we played 30 game seasons. And back in those days, the game only came with like 90 different players. And so we played it, and we ended up while we were at George, we played 9 full 30 game seasons, including the playoffs and World Series, and we still have records for them. Well, after a while, there was a layoff after people started to retire. They started shipping around to different places. Then I don't know how many years ago it was now, but one of my friends that I was stationed out at George with, and my son, who lives in California, we decided we were going to regenerate our seasons, and we started. And then we actually upgraded. Phil Graham got the rights to be able to create from Sports Illustrated to be able to create new cards and everything. And we now use his set. Now we've gone from the 90 players we used to have to, I don't know, 3,000 or 4,000 players. We hold drafts, and each one of us own 4 teams. So we draft and we root for play for our 4 teams. And we recently picked up finally our 4th owner. It came on board this year, and on July 11th, we had our draft for our 22nd season. And we wondered, well, how do we handle all of this during the COVID and situations and that? Well, here's a little picture of what draft day looked like at my house. Social distancing, masks. Over on the right, what you can't see is a big television, and my son down in Southern California, he was Skyping with us, and I was out on the way over here on the other side on the big table. So we all tried to keep each other safe the whole day, and we completed our draft. But with the 4th owner, we meant we had to draft 4 different 25-man rosters for 16 teams, 9 hours, and that was really challenging. that was challenging who to pick. And the way we pick our drafts and everything makes it a lot of fun. It makes for a lot of parity in our leagues too. So, I don't know when we're going to get started. I think maybe next week we might get our opening day in. We were supposed to have it today, but circumstances arise which dictated that we couldn't play today. So it's a lot of fun. So, you know, I if you like listening to my posts and so forth, just hit the subscribe button. Leave remarks. I'll answer your remarks. If you have something that you'd like me to talk about, I'm just an old guy rambling about myself. I'm not telling anybody what to do or anything else, or what to buy or anything. I'm just talking about myself. And hit the subscribe. Leave some comments. If you want me to talk about something, let me know and I'll consider it. And in the meantime, have fun out there, but please stay safe. Wear a mask when you're out in public and social distance. Thanks you for watching.